Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 裏技英語. My name is BJ Fox and I'm recording with my co-host, Ishi Tedamy.
皆さんこんにちは. Welcome to another episode of...
Are you copying my MC voice?
なんか of が今日気合入ってたなと思って。
Oh, yeah.
はい。ポッドキャスト裏技英語 of 裏技英語よろしくお願いします。
What's your name?
石井てるみです。皆さんこんにちは。よろしくお願いします。
How are you today, Tedamy? You seem a little bit distracted.
distracted ってことないんだけれども。いやいや、I'm feeling very fine.
Okay.
Yeah, how about you?
I'm good as well.
なんかお腹の調子が悪いって言ってたよ。
That's true,
大丈夫。なんだ、何が原因か分かんないって言ってた。
Well, because I'm doing a strange diet where I don't eat until lunchtime. I stop eating at 6 p.m. or when I have dinner at home, and I try not to have breakfast.
じゃあ何18時間ぐらい空腹を
Yeah,
続けるんだ。プチ断食みたいな。
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. We call it intermittent fasting.
何
Intermittent.
Intermittent?
Yeah, which means like short breaks.
はいはいはいはい。
Short
うんうん。
fasting, 断食.
はいはい。プチ断食だ。プチファスティング。How's it going?
I don't know actually. I'm not looking at my weight.
What are you looking for?
Well, I don't know how it's going, but it makes you feel great actually. It makes you feel good.
でもスタミックはグッドじゃないんでしょ。
Yeah, today's bad. Yeah.
だって食べてないのにお腹痛いってどういうことなんだろう。
Well, I think it's because all I'm doing is eating coffee, drinking coffee.
カフェイン取りすぎるとねお腹下しちゃうからたまにね。
Anyway, this is terrible content. Everyone.
いや本当そうですよ。何のポッドキャストかという話なんですよ。そうですよ。
And we should be positive because today's another round number episode.
Yeah, ラウンドナンバーエピソードですよ。今回は240回目です。
240.
240、240。なんかキリが良くていい数字ですね。
It is. I like 24, 240 as a number actually.
いろんな数で割れますしね。
Yeah, so I remember when I used to go swimming, I used to live in Singapore and in my condo, my apartment building, it was a big swimming pool.
ありそうだよね。シンガポールのコンドミニアムって大きいプールとか。
So I'd always swim 24 lengths.
24?
Like, what do you call it in a swimming pool when you go from one end to the other?
50メートルプール ?100 メートル、50メートル
It'd be 50, yeah.
を24往復
Yeah, so we call that, we call not 往復, we call one
片道
we call it a length.
length?
Yeah.
length ってレング長さのこと。
Yeah, one length.
one length. で24 length.
Yeah.
12往復ってことか。
Yeah, 12 times there and back, yeah.
行って帰ってを12回。
Yeah.
Wow, すごい。
But the reason was because 24 was, I would always, in my head, I'd be like, okay, I've done 1. Okay, I've done 2, that's 1/12. I've done 3, that's 1/8. It was like easy to break it up in my mind.
何分の1何分の1って12分の1
Then I'd be like
8分の1ってやるのが簡単だったから。
Yeah, 8分の3. That's how in my mind I always found 24 like the most interesting number to swim.
そうよね。なんかその割り切れる数がこんなにね大きい綺麗な数はないから。
1, 2, 3, 4, not 5, 6,
8.
Yeah, and then you're
12.
Into 9, then you're into 3, 8. Yeah. Anyway, that is apart from that, Tedamy, apart from that, 240, nothing special. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything special about the number.
でも240ってほら角度とかでよく出てくるよね。If you study math.
That's true. Yeah.
360度分の3分の2でなんかね。
Yeah, that's right. Actually, okay. I didn't think of that. That's interesting. Yeah, like 2/3 of a circle.
そう。なんかもう忘れちゃったけどやるじゃん。余弦定理とか正弦定理とか。
I don't know what these are.
もう英語でなんていうのか。
I don't know what these are in Japanese.
余弦定理というのを英語で何というかを調べます。Cosine.
Oh, cosine.
Theorem.
Cosine theorem, yeah. Okay. Anyway, no one on our podcast understands this.
いや、でもね、だからこれ三角形のほら、
Yeah.
いろんなね、数学でやるでしょ、これ。
Yeah.
はい。そんな時には、この240って数字はよく出てくるな、なんてことを思い出しました。もう今、悲しいぐらい何も覚えてなかったですけどね。はい。三角法とかやりますよね。
Yeah. Okay, but the only thing I did find out about the number, Tedamy, is it's the international phone code of
of
Equatorial Guinea.
エクアトリアルギニ
Yeah.
ギニアですか？
I don't know if it is that Guinea?
なんかギニアっていろいろあるんだよね。
Because that's what I found interesting. There's 4 countries with the word Guinea in it.
へえ。
Ruben, can you name the 4 countries with the word Guinea in it?
No.
Well, the first one is
New Guinea.
no, just Guinea.
Oh, really? Not new.
There's Papua New Guinea.
パプアニューギニアね。
So in Japanese, it's Guinea. You say
Guinea.
Guinea. No, we just say Guinea.
ギニーって言うんだ。
So you've got Guinea,
ギニアと
Guinea-Bissau,
ギニアビサウ、
Equatorial Guinea,
赤道ギニア共和国、
and then Papua New Guinea.
パプアニューギニア。
And originally, the whole, I guess, the west coast of Africa,
Yep.
in English, we called it Guinea.
アフリカの西海岸をギニーって言う
Guinea,
んだ。
that area, and then these are different. Like, I'm not entirely sure, but I imagine Guinea-Bissau was the Portuguese Guinea. It was when it was back in the colonial Shokuminchi.
はあはあはあはあ。ギニアビサウというのは西アフリカにある国ですけれども。
Which country?
ギニアビサウ。
I know, but which country colonized it?
公用語がポルチュギーズだか
Okay,
ら
so
ね。
I imagine like I think Guinea is.
いや、ポルチュギーだね。
I think Guinea is probably French, and then Guinea-Bissau, Portuguese, and I don't know, Equatorial Guinea, maybe a different country. Anyway, lots of countries called Guinea. Did you know, Tedamy, Guinea in the UK was a coin before we had pounds? We had guineas.
No.
Yeah.
なんでギニーって言ってたの？
I don't know why, but that's what.
このギニアと関係あるの？
It must do. It must do.
そうよね。
It must do. Yeah.
へえ。ポンドの前がギニーだったんだ。
Yeah. Yeah.
へえ。じゃあシェイクスピアの物語にはギニーって出てくるんだ。
100% it must come up. Yeah, I think most British people would understand Guinea was an old currency.
はいは
Any similar thing in? I know in Japan you had the sen before the
い。
yen.
そうそうそうそう。あるよ。
Okay.
何円何銭何里とかね。
Okay. Interesting stuff about Guinea. This episode's not about Guinea. This episode is 240, so it's a revision episode where we're going to look back on some of the conversations that we cut out of the main episodes and do a little bit of revision, Tedamy.
はい。ということで240回記念なので過去10回で、私たちが交わした会話ですとか新しく出てきたフレーズを振り返っていきましょう。
So, the first clip we want to show is from our episode about agreeing to disagree.
Agreeing to disagree. Let's agree to disagree ってやつですね。
Yeah. We had an interesting discussion about rainfall, Tedamy. Rainfall in the UK versus rainfall in Japan.
はい、イギリスでの雨の降り方と日本での雨の降り方、どっちが多いかとかね、そんな話をしましたね。
Yeah, I gave a controversial opinion that it rains more in Japan than in the UK.
ほう、日本の方がイギリスより雨が降ると。Surely not. Let's agree to disagree, BJ.
Well, let's hear that discussion and let's hear the truth of the matter.
BJ, you mentioned the rainfall in Tokyo versus London.
Oh, yeah.
What was the opinion?
I think it rains more in Tokyo than it does in London.
You would argue that?
I would argue that it rains more in Tokyo than it does in London.
体感だとロンドンより東京の方が雨多い。
Yeah.
でもほら、イギリスはロンドンはいつも曇ってて雨ばっかり。まあ雨ばっかりっていうかなんかいつもグルーミーな。Gloomy, is that the word?
Yeah, but I'm talking about what do you call it?
Precipitation.
Like the actual level on a yearly basis. I think what London does is a light rain regularly, where in Japan it goes blue sky, blue sky, blue sky, then apocalypse.
Apocalypse. だからロンドンでは降るとしてもちょっとさーっと
Yeah.
少量の雨が降るだけだと。東京はすごい青空が広がってるかと思いきやこの世の終わりみたいなすごい雨がドカンと降ることが確かにある。
Yeah, it's a little bit
だ
like
からトータルで言うと a little bit like what?
well, it's like crime as well.
ある日突然咳を切ったようにドカンと降るって言いたいんでしょ
Yeah.
So it happens, the worst thing happens all of a sudden.
Yeah.
極端ってことじゃない
Yeah, yeah.
Extreme なんでしょ
Yeah.
だからトータルでは東京の方が降水量が多い。
Ruben.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
And annual rainfall
Yeah.
Yeah.
in London
Yes.
has 585 millimeters.
585 milliliters. Not bad, not bad.
ロンドンの年間降雨量は585ミリです。
In Tokyo,
東京は
1,600 millimeters.
Double.
1600? 1600ミリ Not double, 3 times.
3 times.
Okay, but
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 the Tokyo area
Yeah.
had over 2,000 hours of sunshine in 2022.
2020年の2000時間以上日照時間
And in London, there was about 1,675.
1675もっと少ないかと思った。ロンドンの日照時間は年間1675時間、東京は2000時間。
so I argued correctly.
You did.
You did.
Gut feeling.
Gut
まあ
feeling.
だから両方で住んでいる人だから分かるわけだよね。これトータルだと東京の方がすごい雨降ってるぞと。ただ日照時間は東京の方が長いんだ。
Yeah.
だからエクストリームなんだね。犯罪と一緒でって言いたいんでしょ。まあでも東京は降るときはものすごく降るとね、もう傘が壊れるぐらい降りますけども、ロンドンはそういう降り方はしないんだ。It doesn't really rain heavily. Yeah.
So in conclusion,
はい。
there's more rainfall in Japan than in the UK. I was correct, Tedamy.
ねえ、日本の方が雨の量多いのね。イギリスはずっと曇ってるっていう印象だけども、
Yeah.
トータルの雨の量は日本の方が多い。晴れるときは晴れるけど、雨のときはこの世の終わりみたいに雨が降ると。
Yeah.
ね、なんか犯罪もそうだって言ったのがすごくね。
Yeah, I've tried that as a joke since.
すごい言えてるなって思いました。
Yeah. No, but I tried it on stage as a comedy.
どうだった？
Yeah, I think it was too dark. I think it was too
本
dark.
当のことを言い過ぎちゃって笑えなく
Yeah,
なってました。
when I talked about crime in Japan,
そっか
how
そっ
it's
か。
like kind of Habon, and then a terrible crime.
突然ね、すごく怖い犯罪がとかね、
Yeah.
なんか極端な犯罪が起きたりしますけれども、ちょっとスタンドアップコメディのシーンでもちょっと笑いづらかったってよっぽどですね。
Yeah, I found it was too, like the crimes I mentioned were too,
Which crime did you mention?
I don't want to say. I tried a few.
じゃあ気になる方はね、BJ がスタンドアップコメディシーンでどんなことを言っているのか気になる方はぜひ東京コメディバーに来てチェックしてください。
Yeah, come to the open mics.
Come to the open mics, yeah.
そう。
Although I did get one joke out of it about how the news at Christmas in Japan. My joke was about how the news in Japan is always very light.
ほう、日本のニュースがライトだと。
Yeah, like often it's so the joke is often like, oh, something happened, someone's doing rice planting. Oh, there's inside Tamashi, there was a monkey.
まあ住宅街にね猿が出現するといろいろニュースになりますよ
And
ね。
then ikinari, then suddenly there's a terrible crime.
Yeah.
But I was talking about how at the end of the year, last year, there wasn't a crime per se, but the big story was all about Takashimaya.
高島屋のケーキがね、高いケーキがぐちゃぐちゃになって届いた話ね。
How the rest of the world was all Israel and Palestine. And the joke was telling me, the rest of the world is Gaza. In Japan, it's Gatto.
はい、世界中ではガザのことで、まあ、ガザのニュースがね一番まあちょっとシビアになっていた時期でしたし、まあ、今でも続いてますけれども、でも日本はお菓子のことで大騒ぎだったと。
Yeah.
How did that joke work?
That one part worked well.
お、よかったね。
That part, the simple part worked well, but then when I went into the dark crimes,
Yeah?
then everyone was like, no, that's too dark. That's too dark.
ガトーのところはだけうまくいったけど、あとはちょっとダークすぎたということで、はい、どんなこと言ったのかちょっと気になりますのでね、はい、
Yeah.
気になる方ぜひスタンダップコメディを見に来てください。
But one final thing before we move on to the second clip. That is the nature of stand-up comedy. And in business as well. You know, you try things,
Yep.
you test them,
Yep.
you fail fast.
Yep.
We discussed that otherwise, that mindset. You fail fast and then you learn and you
Yep.
change direction. I pivoted
Yep.
from the dark joke to the Takashimaya
Yep.
cake jiken. And then a good solution was found.
ダークからスイートの方に移動して、
Yeah.
そしたらうまくいったと。
Yeah.
だからジョークでもビジネスでも一緒ですよね。いろいろなことトライしてう うまくいくか試行錯誤して fail fast
Fail fast.
うまくいかないならいかないで、さっさと次に行けばいいじゃないかということですよね。
Yeah. My final punchline was all about how the reporting of that Takeshimaya Jiken
Yeah.
felt like a detective novel.
なんていうのあれ犯罪推理小説みたいだったっていうね。
Like, where does the sekinen lie?
誰が責任者いろんな相関図とかもできてっていうね。
Yeah.
I think you talked about this
Yeah.
in our live recording.
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah. そうそうそう。
Anyway, on to the next clip. Listeners, we're very excited for our upcoming book.
ポッドキャスト裏技英語が一冊の本になります。タイトルは裏技英語 Thriving and Surviving in the International Workplace 2024年6月3日発売です。この本にはグローバルな職場で使える裏技フレーズとノウハウがぎゅっと詰まっています。3000円から7000円までの購入オプションからいつでもご予約可能です。6月の発売記念イベントもお楽しみに。詳しくはポッドキャストの概要欄をチェックしてください。
So our second clip comes from what I think was an amazing interview with Chi Fukuda Chihiro.
はい、オーストラリアにお住まいの福田千尋さんにインタビューをしました。
Now, all our interviews, we talk too long, so we have to cut parts out. But we thought this next clip was very interesting.
はい、オーストラリアに福田さんはお住まいということですけれども BJ がシンガポールに住んでいた時にヨーロッパとかアメリカとか違うタイムゾーンと仕事をするにあたって感じたことです。
Yeah. So it's all about the differences between living in APAC, Asia Pacific, and ANZ or ANZ, which is Australia and New Zealand.
APEC はアジアパシフィックで、アジア、シンガポールとかも含めたアジア。Is Japan included?
That would be JPAC.
へー。
Often Japan is, in my businesses, APAC often is, Japan is taken out, yeah.
Japan is different.
Yeah, Japan is different. Yeah.
Japan is different なんだ。へえ。なるほど。じゃあ APAC っていう時は日本は一旦置いといてアジアパシフィックで ANZ はオーストラリアとニュージーランド。
My impression of, so when I moved to Singapore,
Yep.
at the same time I moved to Singapore, so I was working for a London-based video game company. I went out to be the head of Asia, and my British colleague went out to be the head of Australia, pretty much at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt Australia was lucky
Yep.
because, so when I was working for a British video game company,
Yep.
I was sent to be the head of Asia in Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, a British colleague,
Yep.
Greg, hi Greg, he
Is he
was
listening?
sent to, no, he doesn't
Yeah.
listen.
Okay.
He was sent to be the head of ANZ, Australia and New Zealand, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt they were very lucky because, for whatever reason, people assumed Asia was still kind of in the same time zone as the UK and America.
Okay.
So when they asked for a response, they wanted it immediately.
Yes.
So there's always a lot of pressure. End of day.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Australia was like, oh, it's so far away. They would like, oh, tomorrow's fine.
That's absurd.
It's absurd, yeah.
Because like シンガポールとオーストラリアの方がよっぽど近いでしょ。だから
Well,
ロンドンから遠いのは両方変わらないけども。
No, but I think because Australia is 12 hours ahead of
シンガポールも変わんないじゃん。
8 hours, so it's just, so in the morning, we are just in the time zone of the working day.
あ、そうなんだ。シンガポールはギリギリ同じタイムゾーンっていう風にヨーロッパから見られてた。
Yeah.
へえ、interesting。わかります？ちいさん。
そうですね。I just did a meeting with VP of Marketing who's based in Germany.
Yeah.
Basically, what happens in Australia is 7-8 p.m. Australia time is like a morning.
Yeah.
The start of the working hours in Europe. Mm-hmm. So like it never matches. So
Yeah.
if you try to set a meeting with somebody in London or Europe, it's really challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
そっか、オーストラリアで働いていてヨーロッパの人とミーティングを組もうとすると、かなりもうずれてるから難しいと。
そうですね。
なるほど。だからヨーロッパの人はオーストラリアの人とは different time zone 真逆の時間を過ごしているっていうふうに思ってるんだ。
Yeah. So
けどシンガポールには指示が来るんだね。
Yeah, I would get mail saying, "Oh, there's a big conference call. Everyone has to attend."
Yep.
For me, it's midnight.
Yes.
But the Australians were like, "Oh, we can't attend." And everyone would be, "Oh, if it's Australia, it's fine. You don't have to attend." But I would always have to attend, being Asia.
シンガポールは夜中でも
Yeah.
ギリ起きてるだろうっていうふうに見なされちゃったんだ。
Yeah.
それは損ですね。
A little bit of jealousy.
なるほど。
But can I say something? I think head of Asia
Yeah.
is higher than head of ANZ, the title. So your, salary was probably higher.
Do you know what?
Greg?
Probably, and also, can I say another thing about that? Head of Asia was more interesting than head of Australia.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
Like more in different markets, maybe busier. Whereas Australia, for video games was, essentially what two countries, and New Zealand was very small. No offense.
まあ、アジアのマーケットリーダーの方がエキサイティング。
Yeah.
まあいろんな国をね統括しているでしょうか
Yeah.
らね。
Do you do
Okay.
any work with clients? Does Freshwork have a business in Japan?
We do. Actually, I visited one of our technology partner
Okay.
just now. Yeah. So it's all the sales are partner driven.
Yeah.
Meaning we don't have any entity or office in Japan yet.
Okay.
But we do have, I think, 300 customers
Okay.
as of today.
And one day, if they start an office, will it be Fukuda Chi, country manager?
I would love to, but you're going to need to write a reference letter to my SVP.
ねえ、千尋さんはカントリーマネージャーとかなってそうですね、そのうちね。
Yeah. So I felt it was different. But actually, Tedamy, we have a small announcement about Chi. She has changed her job since our interview.
おお、すごい。フットワークが軽いですね、ちいさんはね。
Is that a positive thing?
Of course! だからきっとキャリアアップというか、なんか優秀だからヘッドハンティングとかされたのかしら。まあわからないですけどもね、
Yeah.
背景は。だけどインタビューをされた時と今はもう違うお仕事に疲れてると。
Yeah. At the time, she was working for a company called Freshworks.
Yeah.
Now she works with a company called Privy.
Privy.
In Australia still. Marketing manager for Privy in Australia.
Privy 引き続きマーケティングマネージャーをされてるということでね。
And Privy, just out of interest, is a leader in digital identity and digital signature solutions.
Digital Identity and Digital Signature Solutions。デジタルシグニチャーってサインのこ
Genshi
と？
sign, I guess you would say.
電子サイン。へえ、そういったことに特化している。
She is, her mission is to destroy hankors. The hankor seido.
まあそうよね。きっとハンコってのは海外では
Yeah.
ねないですからね。
Actually, I don't. I'm making that last bit up. But obviously nowadays you do a lot of work across countries, online. Often you don't sign contracts in person. Often you sign it digitally. And I'm guessing, I haven't looked into it too much. They are working on a solution to make sure that the person who's signing
Yep.
is actually the person they say they are.
はあ。もう最近ではサインするとき、実際に紙の上で書くというよりはデジタルで皆さん iPad とかでねサインすると思いますけれども、それが実際本人が書いたものかどうかっていうのを裏付ける、そんな技術なんですかね。
I assume it's something like that. But anyone who wants to know more about Privy, I would recommend just following Chi on LinkedIn because her, like I said before in the interview, her profile is excellent. Okay.
Actually, BJ,
Yeah.
when we had this conversation about you when you were in Singapore,
Yeah.
and the Singapore was somewhat in the same time zone as Europe or
Yeah.
the States, but Australia was, considered to be in a different time
Yeah.
zone. I was confused because これ恥ずかしい話なんだけども、私ね、シンガポールとかあの辺のアジアの国とオーストラリアどっちが東でどっちが西かが I was so confused.
Oh, really?
なんかね、なんならシンガポールの方が東にあるんじゃないかっていうのが頭にあったの。But it's not, right?
Yeah. No, it's west. Yeah, it's west. Yeah. Singapore is west.
west.
Yeah, and it's
でしょ？
1 hour behind. Is it? It's 1 hour behind Japan.
Singapore.
Singapore is,
Okay. Yeah. そうだからシンガポールとかベトナムとか、
Yeah.
あの辺の国、あの半島は西の方に近いじゃない？ウェスタンに近いじゃない？でオーストラリアニュージーランドは より東に近いのに、あの会話をしている時に私はねそれがパッと思い描けなくてね、それで混乱してました余計に。あれどうしてオーストラリアの方が同じオーストラリアの方がヨーロッパに近いのにdifferent time zone に入れられてるんだろうとかね、いろいろこんがらがってたんですが、オーストラリアニュージーランドの方がだいぶ時間が進んでるというね、そういうことですよね。
Yeah.
はい、なので解決しました。すいません、もうそんな感じでね、私もあたふたしながら収録しておりました。To be honest, yeah.
Well, thank you for being so transparent, Tedamy.
そうそうそう。あっちの方が太平洋にこうせり出してるのよね。
Anyway, so we've done a little bit of revision on geography, but let's go on to some more revision on some urawazas. Okay, so we introduced lots of different urawazas this past 10 episodes, including one that can help people save face. So help people save face when they've completely misunderstood a task.
はい、誰かが、仕事とかタスクを理解していなかった、やっていなかったっていう時にその人の面目を保つためのフレーズですね。
So here's a scenario, Tedamy.
はい。
You've told your team to do XYZ,
はい、
XYZ.
XYZ やっといてくださいとチームに私が、マネージャーだったとして言いました。
But the output is totally different. They didn't do XYZ, they did ABC instead.
ほう、アウトプットが ABC でした。全然違うじゃないかと。
Now, instead of getting angry, what could you say instead?
はい、ここで怒ってはいけません。その代わり、冷静になってこのように言います。Oh, there seems to be a disconnect.
Yeah, good job, Tony. Yeah, there seems to be a disconnect. Now, tell me, why do we like this phrase?
Tell me. その tell me は tell me だったよね。
Yeah.
なんでかと言いますと、感情的になってないですよね。
Yep.
で、disconnect っていう言葉が使われてます。It sounds very 外資系
Yeah.
because you use this like technical term.
Yeah. And the other reason I like it, like you said, you don't become emotional. You're not blaming anyone. Instead of saying you misunderstood, you say it's kind of passive.There seems to be a disconnect.
そうですね。あなたがいけないとか、こちらがいけないとも言ってなくて、何かね、機械のような、なんか別のもののせいにしているような、なんかすごい中立的な表現ですもんね。
Okay, excellent job. Some more revision. We had a sad episode where the phrase we introduced was a long story short.
Was it a sad episode?
It was a sad
ちょっ
episode.
とね、ちょっと寂しいお知らせをしなければいけませんでしたけれどもね。はい。A long story short. To cut a long story short. 基本の key is finishing.
It's finished, yeah. Okay. Now, but that's a good urawaza to summarize a long story. Yeah? Where you get straight to the conclusion, the most interesting part.
はい。
Can you give me 3 other urawaza phrases that we have introduced at some point in these 240 episodes that you can use to summarize a long story?
はい、240エピソードやってきましたからね。いろいろ話が2点3点いろいろあったけど、要するにこれって話の核心に行くためのフレーズ。In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
I'll stop beating around the bush.
I'll stop beating around the bush. I won't beat around the bush.
Okay. I won't beat around the bush ね。
Yeah.
でね、I'll cut to the chase.
I'll cut to the chase. Great job, Tedamy. Great job. And to provide a quick overview,
はい。
like in terms of differences between these phrases, I would say to cut a long story short is good for bad news or to summarize a long process where we only care about the result.
はい。
Okay?
To cut a long story short, a long story short とも言いますけれども、これはちょっとあんまり良くない知らせを伝えるのにいいと。
Yeah.
はい。もしくは、いろいろなプロセスがありましたけれども、それどうでもよくって結果どうなったかっていうところがみんな知りたいところ、そんな時に使い勝手のいいフレーズです。
Now, so in a nutshell is similar,
Yep.
but it's less about the process. It's more about an idea, maybe.
ほう、in a nutshell はプロセスというよりはそのアイディア、
or a concept.
コンセプト。
So, for example,
はい。
in a nutshell, Urawaza Eigo is a comedy English learning podcast.
おお、なるほど、わかりやすい。So you can't really use a long story short here because
there's no story.
そうよね。そういうことじゃないもんね。いろいろあったけどじゃなくて簡潔に言うとみたいなそんな方が近いかな。Embrace とか。
Yeah, so you could say, to cut a long story short, Tedamy and I met at a comedy show and we started a podcast.
Yeah.
That's you could talk about the origin story, the process that we created 裏技英語 in would be to cut a long story short, but the concept would be in a nutshell.
なるほど。はい。ストーリーを省略するときには to cut a long story short。まあストーリーってまさに出てきますしね。でコンセプトとか、要するにこういうビジネスやってるよ、こういうポッドキャストやってるよっていう時に手短に言うとっていう表現は in a nutshell ですね。
Yeah. And then just quickly, I won't beat around the bush, but I won't beat around the bush and I'll cut to the chase. I think these are used more in the sense of I'll get straight to the point.
I'll get straight to the point. あれこれも裏技
Yeah. Oh, that could be, but that doesn't feel like an 裏技 phrase, really. But yeah, I guess in Japanese, what would you say? 早速本題に入りましょう。
はい、I'll get straight to the point ね。
Yeah.
はい。I won't beat around the bush and I'll cut to the chase. 本題に入りましょう。I'll get straight to the point. I'll get straight to the point は裏技というか、普通の表現か。でもちょっと私にとってはね、なんかそうやって本題に入るっていうんだなと思って。I'll get straight to the point. ミーティングなんかで、雑談だとか、なんか関係ない他の仕事がどうでしたかとかそういった話は置いといて、I won't beat around the bush and I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah. Now,
なるほど。
as we explain these, I just want to say to all our listeners, please buy our upcoming book because I think there'll be a chapter on getting to the point.
はい。裏技英語の本を6月に皆さんにお届けできると思います。その中にね、この Get to the point chapter、要点というか、話の大事な部分にさっさと行くためのフレーズ、そういったチャプターを設けますので、そちらもぜひチェックしてください。
Okay, so a final piece of revision, Tedamy, and this comes from our chapter in the book all about how to give a presentation. The phrase is housekeeping.
はい。Chapter of presentation.
Yeah, I think in the book we'll put an entire chapter on phrases you can use in presentations.
はい、今本を作ってるからあれですね。なんか本で言うとこのチャプターに入ってくるでしょうみたいなね、そんな説明が加わるようになってきてますけれどもね。はい、今から言うのはきっとプレゼンチャプターに入ってくるでしょう。というのも housekeeping というね。
Just a little bit of housekeeping.
Just a little bit of housekeeping というフレーズをねご紹介しましたけれどもね、プレゼンで使えるフレーズです。
Now, could you name 3 things that could be part of your housekeeping at the beginning of a presentation, Tedamy?
はい、プレゼンの最初での housekeeping は where the toilets, bathrooms are, Wi-Fi code.
Yeah.
There will be questions and answer time at the end.
Yeah, and could you say that in a phrase, like as if you were giving a presentation? Just a little bit of housekeeping.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. Toilets are outside.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the toilets are outside.
Outside. You can leave for toilet whenever you want.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi code here is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And there will be Q&A sessions at the end.
Perfect. I guess the only thing I would always add is maybe say how long the meeting will be. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We'll be talking for about 45 minutes. Then there'll be a break. The toilets are outside. The Wi-Fi code is XYZ. And don't worry, there'll be time for questions at the end.
And don't worry, the slides will be shared after this presentation.
Another good one to stop everyone taking notes.
そう、スライドは後ほど共有しますので、そんなにメモ取らなくて大丈夫ですよとかね、そういったことですね。
Now, Tedamy, this episode will be coming out on March 25th, 2024, Monday.
はい、もう桜も綺麗な頃ですね。
So, if you're listening to it when this comes out, you should know, please note that we have a special event happening this coming Saturday on March 30th.
はい、今週末3月30日の土曜日にスペシャルなイベントが開催されます。
It's a special live show sponsored by our friends at ITSCOM.
はい、イツコムさんというケーブルテレビの会社さんとコラボで開催するイベントです。
Cable TV and also they are the provider of my internet at home.
BJ のお家のインターネットプロバイダーなんですね。
Yeah.
はい。
It's been arranged by one of our listeners, Yasko, who works for Itscom, is a huge supporter of our podcast and comes to all our live events.
はい、やすこさんいつも公開収録来てくださってありがとうございます。イツコムで働いていらっしゃるんですけれどもね、やすこさんは長年私たちのポッドキャストをサポートしてくださっています。ありがとうございます。
So the live show will be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on March 30th, Saturday at Tokyo Comedy Bar.
3月30日土曜日午後2時から4時まで渋谷の東京コメディバーで開催されます。
Now there might be tickets left, so please come. But even if you're overseas, you can live stream the episode.
はい、チケットがまだ残っているかと思いますので、ぜひ足を運んでいただけたら嬉しいです。当日、海外にいるよとか、ちょっと東京は遠いよという方でも、ストリーミングで同時配信、生中継、生配信でご覧いただくことが、はい、ライブストリーミングでね、ご覧いただくことができますので、そちらもぜひ見ていただけたら嬉しいです。
And actually, Tedamy, we know for a fact from our statistics that lots of our listeners do live overseas. So this is a great opportunity to see us live doing an episode. It's going to be great fun. If you want to check out how to get tickets or how to watch the event, please click the link in the show description.
はい、実際にポッドキャスト裏技英語海外で聞いてくださっているリスナーさんも多いんですよね。最近のポッドキャストのなんか感想でもね、イギリスで聞いてますっていう方がね、なんか実際に職場で裏技フレーズ使ってるのを聞きますなんていうねコメントも拝見してね、すごく嬉しく思いました。どうもありがとうございます。ということでね、海外で聞いてくださっている方もライブストリーミングで見ることができますので、ぜひチェックしてください。当日行きたいよという方もね、合わせてぜひポッドキャストの概要欄に詳しく詳細を書いておりますので、そちらを見ていただければと思います。
So another 10 episodes, 240 now. Just 10 more, 250 sounds big.
そうよ、10エピソードまたやったらね、また250よ。
Yeah.
この間200回だってわーわー言ってたのけども。
Yeah, well, 250, we're releasing a book, Tedamy. That's enough, why?
まあね。
Yeah.
そうか、250は本を出しまして、
Yeah.
なんか300もね、We're halfway there! 300 episodes みたいなね、予感がしてきましたけれども、はい、この後もね250と300と、はい、続けていきたいと思いますし、いつも聞いてくださっている皆さんのおかげで続けてきております。本当にありがとうございます。
So thank you very much for listening. One small favor, if you do enjoy the show, please subscribe. If you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts, actually hit the, how do you say subscribe in Japanese?
サブスクライブするってなってる最近。
購読 No, what's 購読
購読、定期購読でもそれってなんか新聞とか、
Yeah.
ポッドキャストとかだとサブスクライブするって書いてないかな。
Yeah. Because actually one thing we do notice is that we have more listeners than we do have subscribers. So that means that some people are listening but not hitting that button. Hitting that button actually helps us a lot. So if you're on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you're on, please hit the subscribe button. It makes it easier for you to listen and actually helps us a lot in terms of ranking. So yeah, please do that. Anyway, thank you very much. We'll be here again next week and hopefully be seeing some of you on Saturday at our live event with Itscom.
それではイツコムのライブイベントに来てくださる方は今週末の土曜日にお会いしましょう。そうじゃない方も引き続きよろしくお願いします。See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
Buddha was an ego. Business English is so hard. Buddha was an ego. I need a noodle was a.
Often you don't sign contracts in person.
Mm-hmm.
You sign it digitally. You sign it digitally. Often you sign it digitally.